inSTEM is a holistic mentorship and skills development program. We invite you to bring your whole selves into this virtual learning space. So before I turn it over to the experts, let's pause for a moment of mindfulness.
Hello, I'm Mizrrain Nava. I'm a mechanical engineering student at University of California, Merced. I will be graduating in May 2021 and will be working for Hensel Phelps as a field engineer. A little bit of what a mechanical engineering does is we're kind of the jack of all trades. We could do a little bit of electrical engineering, chemical, structural, so we dabble a little bit on everything. Internships are one of the best ways to actually get hands-on experience on what you're going to be doing. So you actually get to see some of the duties that you're going to be taking on every day once you graduate. It's a good way to see if you like the industry or not. It'll help you work on the skills that you need while making a pretty decent amount of money. And there's been cases where I did some summer internships where I worked throughout the whole summer and then I had enough money to fund my outings for the rest of the year. So it's a fun way to get money that you could spend for the rest of the year. It's also a good way to check for your strengths and weaknesses. For example, maybe you thought you were better at math than you find out once you're doing this internship. And when it comes to research is the key of getting these internship opportunities. So if you do research on campus, you're pretty much letting a company know, hey, this is the things I can do, and this is how committed I am to them. And eventually research can get you money as well, because if you're a sophomore or a freshman when you're doing research, by the time you're a junior or a senior, the research lab is going to trust you with the expensive equipment that they don't want anybody else using, so they're willing to pay you to do that. And ultimately research is, it can be very different than the idea that people have. So most people think of research as working in a lab with a professor and a TA or some grad students. But in reality, I personally did a little bit of research through one of the clubs, the social clubs that I was in, AIAA, the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics. They had a competition called DBF in which you design, you build, and you fly an unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV. And then you have to go to a competition. So you get a little bit of traveling, you get to meet people, and eventually you get the research units that could get you into internships. I think one of the best ways to find these opportunities on campus is being friendly and talking to people. One of the things you have to be able to do is just go out there and throw yourself in situations that maybe if you're a little more introverted, you wouldn't. When there's tabling opportunities, stop by a table if it looks fun. A lot of these clubs do their best job at trying to attract people. AIAA had rockets in their tabling. The Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, which is another one I joined, had salsa dancing in their tabling. So, whatever attracts you, go to it and figure out what it is. And by meeting people, by joining these clubs, by going to the meetings, by seeing what they're about, that's where you learn this opportunities and this all this aid that they provide. So for students that are balancing work and the school, if you're a STEM student, my first advice or my first thing to say about this is hang in there. It's hard. It's very hard. STEM in itself, a career, it's a very hard thing to do. And so if you're on top of that working, props to you, but also no, it's not supposed to be easy. I remember being a freshman or a sophomore and sitting in class and asking people, oh, how did you do in this physics exam? And everybody is not willing to admit that it's hard. They would say, oh, it was very easy. It's super easy. This class is easy. And then I asked them at the end of the semester, what did you pass this class with? And they passed it with a C-. So then these people are, barely passing this class, but then they're also saying that it's super easy. So just know it's hard, even if people tell you otherwise. You're your feelings are valid. But one of the tips I do have for balancing these two things at the same time is be organized. Every day make an agenda with time estimates, and this is very important because, for example, if you have work in the morning and in the afternoon you have to do a bunch of homework assignments, or you have to go to a meeting or something, if you have a time estimate of maybe this vibrations homework is going to take 2 hours, and I'm supposed to be done with it by 3 p.m. so that I can do all these other things for the rest of the day. And if you're doing this vibrations homework at 4 p.m., then hey, I'm an hour behind. I need to either step it up or maybe work a little later than I would like today. And another thing that a lot of people might not like hearing is mute your notifications on your phone. If you're sitting in lecture and you have your phone sitting on the desk and your Snapchat is going off, obviously it's going to be distracted and you're going to be tempted to click on it, and then you're on Snapchat for the next 10 minutes. And then that's 10 minutes of lecture that you didn't listen to and that you have to go back later on, when you're in your dorm, to try to relearn that material. So if you just have your notifications muted, it might seem like your phone is dead and nobody's trying to talk to you, but in reality you just don't have all of those notifications telling you, that there's people hitting you up during lecture. Finally, my advice is that if your grades are being affected, and if you have the option for loans, it's well worth looking into that. Loans are seen as a taboo kind of, oh, don't do that thing, throughout a lot of people's experience in college. But if you're working because you need the money and you have options for loans, it can be seen as an investment. You could spend, you could get a loan for $2,000 right now, that could help you have less work hours, so that when you graduate you could have a job that will allow you to pay that loan in 2 months if you wanted to. So just think about that. One of the easiest ways as STEM students, I think, is tutoring. We all have to take physics, math, biology, chemistry, and some of these classes just happen to be requirements for people throughout the whole university, whether you're in Shaw or not, or STEM. A lot of these people have to take these classes, and these classes I know a lot of us really enjoy. So if you really enjoy chemistry or the earlier math courses or physics or any of those, the basic building blocks, it's a good way to make some money by tutoring. 1, 2, you get to have a solid foundation on this topic because you're practicing it every day. And 3, it's gonna be an easy job because you know how to do this and you like doing this. So it's a win-win situation. Another experience that I had this summer is my housemate was doing DoorDash. And DoorDash, Lyft, Uber, all of these options, if you have a car, a reliable vehicle, it's a good way to make money because you can work whenever you want. You can work as long as you want, and it just so happens that when people need to be, lifted from one place of the city to the other, or when they need food, is when you're not in class. On a Friday afternoon, if you rather make a little bit of money rather than party with people, then you could go and DoorDash or Uber or Lyft. Finally, campus jobs are always a good option as well. They tend to be pretty easy. They don't demand a lot of skills or a lot of knowledge in specific topics. Most of the time it's easy jobs that you can do with a little bit of training or no training at all. The commute is very short. You're going from your dorm to maybe the library, or from your dorm to the gym, and you don't even have to drive. You just walk there and you're at your job. And finally, some of these are very, very laid back, so you can do your work while you're sitting there, like your coursework. I have a friend who works for the front desk in the police department, and on a Friday afternoon at like 8 or 9 p.m., nobody's going to the front desk. So he's sitting there doing his homework while getting paid. And so at the end of his shift, not only did he make a little bit of money, but he also got done with his homework and now can go have fun. One of the first things you have to consider, when you're trying to decide what to do this summer, for example, is what will add more value to your professional career. So is this job at Starbucks going to add or make me a better physicist? Or is maybe working in a lab going to make me a better physicist, down the line? What will add more benefit to your career? That's one of the things I would consider first. The next thing would be, what can you not do next summer or next semester? Some opportunities will only be here maybe this semester or this summer, and the probability of having that opportunity again are not likely. And I can speak to this personally because maybe I think it was 2 summers ago, I had the opportunity of doing an internship with a company, but I also got accepted into UC Berkeley to do some summer courses. And, as we all know, UC Berkeley is a pretty prestigious school, so who wouldn't want to go even for summer, right? And I remember it was a very tough decision to make because in one hand you have summer school in a very nice school that'll, give you a great experience and help you graduate in 4 years, versus an internship that will most likely, make it harder to graduate in those 4 years, but it'll give you a lot of professional experience and open up other doors down the line. And so what I did is I sat down with a friend that was a few years older than me, and he explained to me, that maybe graduating in 4 years wasn't a huge priority at this point. If I have this opportunity that will allow me to get more experience, to get better companies, to get my foot in the door in places that otherwise I wouldn't be able to, maybe going to Berkeley and graduating in 4 years and having a nice experience for a summer is not worth, a six-figure paying job down the line, a job with Lockheed, Northrop, or the Fortune 500 companies that are available once you have 2 or 3 internships on your belt. The first thing would be expand your career experiences, expand your internships, expand until you find something that you like. If you don't have any passions right now, next summer go do an internship, and then after that do some research on something completely unrelated to that internship, and then after the next semester maybe join some clubs and projects that is completely unrelated to that. So mechanical engineering, for example, I could go into aerospace, I could go into automotive engineering, I could go into oil, I could go into civil. And so maybe something that you thought you would like, you end up not liking, but you wouldn't figure that out unless you actually try it out. A lot of things in concept are very fun, but once you actually apply them and once you're actually working for the industry, it's very different. For example, my first 2 years of my school, I wanted to be in aerospace. And so I did a few internships and I did a few projects and even research in aerospace. And I found out it's not appropriate for my personality. I'm very friendly and outgoing and I like to be around people and moving every day. And aerospace tends to be a very lonely, calm industry. If you're a design engineer, you're sitting in front of a computer all day working until your design is done and then you present it to a team. And so, I expanded my internships, I expanded my different opportunities that I had until I found, for me, it was project management. Engineering project management is what I liked, and I wouldn't have ever figured that out unless I tried things that maybe were different than what I had in mind. Sometimes you won't find a passion, Not everybody always says you will find your passion eventually, but that's not true for everyone. Some people don't have a passion, they happen to be very good at certain things. And so as a last resort, I would say if you have nothing that you found after doing all of this, last resort would be to expand and do what you're good at. If you're very good at physics or engineering or something, a specific concept of it, focus on that and develop that so that way you're very good at it. And even if you don't like it, you might hate your job during the week, but maybe this job gives you a big enough salary that will keep you happy during the weekends so that you could go and travel or, go out dancing or have a nice car or whatever, So last resort, do what you're good at. Some of the best resources for financial aid and financial assistance and a lot of different things is clubs and organizations. Again, for me, the biggest ones were AAA, but there's organizations like ASME or many other engineering and STEM organizations. And a lot of these clubs and organizations will give you scholarships, will give you money for even clothing for, if you have an interview and you don't have any attire for it, they'll pay for a suit and a tie for you, or some dress shoes. And this is something that I didn't know until later on. There's a few that will even pay for professional conferences for you. So conferences that cost $500, $600, where you could go and talk to all the Fortune 500 companies and land a job that way. And most people don't, because they're so expensive. Not only is it $500 to go, but also you have to pay for your housing for the weekend and all that. A lot of these organizations will pay for all of that and will get you even closer to getting a job. If you're working for the essential things that you need in order to survive, like housing or food, or maybe money for gas so that you could get to school, these things are very important. And at this point, then it is acceptable to have some priorities, as long as I think they're not affecting your grades in school or your performance academically in any way, shape, or form. That is a good balance to have. If you can work 40 hours a week and also have all A's or all B's, perfect. There's a lot of people that are not that way, and for those people, this is where the balance comes into play. You have to be able to succeed on both of them. Another thing I would look into if you're working for this essential things is looking into your financial aid again. Maybe if you denied a loan or some sort of scholarship, see if you can get into that, or if you can get it back, because it could decrease the amount of work hours. Maybe it won't, have you not work for the rest of the semester, but it will decrease the amount of work hours that you work, and so that you could dedicate more time into your homework and your studying and being present on campus. Your career should be number one. I know I have a lot of friends that said, I have this job that pays me so well right now. It pays me like $5 more than the minimum. And they kind of get carried away with that. But think about it. This job that pays well right now is taking away time from you getting experience that could, once you graduate, get you a job that pays a lot more than that. So I say your career should be number one. And finally, if you're working to be able to afford going out, so that you could hit the bars in the weekend, or you can go on trips, during your spring break, I'd say don't worry about that too much now. Most people are right now because we're in college and everybody's going out and going crazy. You'll be able to do that, especially with a STEM career. You'll be able to do that once you graduate, and then you'll be able to ball out, as they say. You'll be able to ball out even more once you have a stable, high salary job. So it'll come.
We hope you found this useful. For more videos in this series, please visit us at nationalmetals.org/inSTEM.